That's enough. Still got something to say? You're disturbing me. Go and cool off. Go. You okay?
No.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Jean-Claude Van Damme cast. It is Jeff and John in studio talking about 2011's Assassination games. And, this is my fault. I take full credit and responsibility.
Shame.
So this was supposed to come out before Universal Soldier. And I listened to, I think, our cameo episode it was before that. And I even said, next up is Assassination games. So when we did Universal Soldier, I was like, oh, there's no way. I Mandela affected it in my own mind. But I realized I was totally wrong. I had Universal Soldier, Day of Reckoning next, and that's not the case at all. By the time you hear this, that one will already be
It'll
up.
already be too late.
So it's already too late. So sorry, guys. That's my fault. But hey, you still get reviews from us, the voices that you love, the unofficial, official Van Damme love from the damnation.
And you can quote us on that.
Yeah. So we have 2011's rated R, 1 hour and 41 minutes. Action, crime, drama, where two assassins agree to work together as one tries to avenge his wife and the other collect a reward for a job. This is starring Jean-Claude Van Damme as Vincent Brazil, Scott Adkins as Roland Flint, Ivan Kay as Polo Yakur, and a bunch of others. We also get Van Damme's two kids in it. You get Chris Van Damme, who plays one of the Interpol cops, and you get Bianca Bridget Van Varenberg. They actually go by their names, right? In this, they go by the Van Varenberg
The birth name,
name.
yeah.
But on IMDb, I guess they switched their names so that they're also Van Damme as well. So she plays Anna Flint, who is Scott Adkins' wife, and we'll get into that a little bit more. This was directed by Ernie Barbarish, writers Aaron Rawson Thomas, and that's about it. The tagline is twice the fire, double the power.
I like it.
Yeah, that's
a
nice.
classic Van Damme tagline right there.
Yeah. They said that the original release date was July 29th, 2011, and it was filmed in Bucharest, Romania, and a few other places.
Yet another Van Damme film.
Oh,
being filmed in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, it's Louisiana, Romania, and the USA.
Parts of it were filmed in Louisiana?
Apparently.
Huh.
So, getting into this, we open up with a quote from Nietzsche. The best weapon against an enemy is another enemy. And that's it.
Yep, that's exactly what Nietzsche had in mind was this film.
Yep, it was. I think he predicted it, actually, kind of like Nostradamus did.
Yep.
So we see that we're in some Eastern European country, the latest Van Damme trope that we add to our Van Damme
A very
list.
strong trope.
It's really weird. The stuff that we see less and less now, we're seeing more and more of other things, like car chases, Eastern Europe. Less Van Damme butt. Not a lot of Van Damme butt anymore.
No.
So we're at some wedding. It looks like it's a mobster wedding. At least it's the mobster's daughter. Van Damme is the waiter there. He spills the drink on the mob boss, and he goes to wipe it up and whatnot, and he slits the dude's throat in the action with a weird tuck knife.
Yeah,
you know
like tucked under his finger or something.
It's like one of those
karambit type thingies.
Yes. And you see it, and then the dude's just sitting there. Everyone's still talking and whatnot. And all of a sudden his like head goes back and his neck just separates and blood's coming out and everyone flips out about it. He ends up meat cleavering a dude in the head as well, too.
That was pretty sweet.
Ooh, gnarly. He had some sweet sideburns.
Yeah, he was rocking some big, goofy, fake sideburns. I was hoping he was wearing those for the rest of the film.
Me too, man. I was bummed to see that he wasn't.
I know.
I was like, oh, man. I love when Van Damme puts on sideburns.
Master of disguise, that Van Damme.
He was. And he kills a bunch of dudes and leaves. So then next we see someone giving someone else a sponge bath. It's Scott Adkins, and we're assuming that this is his wife. And all the meanwhile, the credits are still playing. We see at this time Van Damme's kids are in this. Also, that his daughter co-produced this film.
Yeah.
So there is that. Van Damme's getting them in there, getting some credits for them.
Oh, yeah.
What a great dad, man.
Yeah.
He's making his way to his apartment with 20 locks on the door. We see that
like padlocks on the outside.
Yeah, man. It's like a cover-up apartment for a nice one hidden behind some big giant door in the wall type situation. And he has a cool weapon room and a turtle that doesn't like him when he goes to pet it. And we see in the paper that it says something along the lines of that Interpol was supposedly the ones behind the assassination. And I realize when I'm watching this that it's kind of looks like Second in Command. Are we getting another Van Damme trope of like filming in sepia colors? Like,
yeah.
It was totally.
It had the same feel for sure.
Yeah, off color. And actually, I believe the head of Interpol was in Second in Command. I think he was either like the.
Is that where he was from? I knew he looked familiar.
Yeah, I think he was in one of the military general or whatnot in the tank.
Yeah, everything was all like bleached out. It looked like an Instagram filter or something.
Yeah, it was a bad Instagram filter on this whole film. We see that the Interpol guys are trying to figure out a situation to get out of, and they need to find Flint and take him out, is what they say. He was the best hitman on their payroll, which I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here at this moment? You don't know. And it's Van Damme's son and another guy in the head. And next up, we're in the Carpathian Mountains of Ukraine. We see that Scott is chopping some wood. Some lady comes up to him, lets him know that there's a man staying at a hotel in the town, and Scott seems a bit perturbed at this, and he's asking around about it. So next up, I want to say that I love when they do the inside of a car scenes on this because they take the headrest out of the cars.
Yep.
So, just all of a sudden, the thing that will help you in an accident is totally missing. Scott's behind the seat. He's pointing a gun at the dude. He's offering, the guy is offering Scott a job for $1 million. He's like, no way. But then he's like, the guy is Polo. So Scott makes him turn up the radio, and he slips out of his car. We find out this guy's his old friend as he bleeds for his life. And I realized, I was like, wow, they have light R&B music in Ukraine on the radio there. It was really weird to me.
That was strange. Maybe it was like popular in the United States like 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, finally making its way over there. Possibly.
Making the rounds.
So next up, we see Van Damme is in some sort of antique shop. He goes to the back, and it's totally different back there. A guy throws a bag of diamonds on the table. It's like $550,000. He's like $550,000. There you go, in diamonds. He's like, there's another job on the table. Take out a dude that just got out of prison. We see that the guy gets out of prison. This guy is Polo. He's like, where's my brother? And they're like, oh yeah, your brother got picked up. So they got to go check out his brother. We get a flashback though of Scott being forced to watch his wife being raped by the guy who just got out of jail.
It was pretty graphic.
Yeah, man. He beats her to a pulp. You don't see the rape, but it's heavily implied.
They mention it later.
Yep, they mention it later, because at first I went, oh no, not raped. He just beat her pretty much to death.
Yeah, she's like comatose with her eyes open, like how Major Payne sleeps, and
yeah.
He doesn't ever close her eyes or anything.
No, not at all.
They must get really dry.
Yeah, he probably constantly has to put like Aleve in her. What's the dry itchy eyes?
Clear eyes.
Clear eyes. Yeah.
Visine.
Yeah. Ben Stein. So we're in the present. We're in his house. He's pacing, looking at her, trying to, contemplate, should I take this job? Should I kill Polo? Yada, yada, yada. Van Damme now is in some building. He sees that a guy is yelling at a girl. The guy's like, we are neighbors. And he's like, but I want to buy the whole floor. My business is booming. And Van Damme's like, no. he like leaves and he's like, move the boxes to the girl, and then just leaves, takes off. And, you know, this girl is kind of like giving Van Damme the eyes.
She's clearly a prostitute, by the way.
Yeah, yep. Totally a prostitute. She, you can tell, because I think he even says some line to her about that, like, you need to make me more money.
Yep.
And we see Van Damme has a safe behind a pitcher. He throws the diamonds in it with a bunch of other bags of diamonds in there. We're back to Scott. He's waking up from a PTSD nightmare of the situation, the flashback.
He has bad luck with raising families.
I know, man. He does. You're right.
That's another trope. That's
seriously, yeah. That's beginning to be another trope. Now some other guy is sleeping. He gets woken up. We see that it's Scott's old buddy, and Scott tells him he wants the job. Which his buddy's like, sorry, man, it's off the table now. You got to move fast in these times. Scott's like, whatever. He's like, he thinks Polo wants to finish the job on him, so he wants to find him first, and he needs his buddy's help. Next up, we see Scott setting up a camera to watch over his wife as he leaves. And then we see Van Damme and his buddy are playing chess, talking about the job. Oh, switch over. Scott and his buddy are talking about the job. Scott is all set up across from the court in the next scene. You're thinking, okay, something's going to happen. He's about to pull the trigger on his sniper rifle when a van comes out. He hits the van instead, and Polo, and it's his brother that he has his arm around. That misfire that hits the van causes Van Damme to misfire with the crossbow that he has. And he shoots Polo's brother.
A poison-dipped crossbow.
Yeah, man.
At this point, you begin to realize that Van Damme has likes really bizarre choices for weapons, because he has like tons of throwing knives.
Yeah,
and
he's
later
a big knife guy.
Later, he has like 2 single-action like Colt Army revolvers that are like part brass. And...
Yeah, man. Which there was the joke with that too when they meet up, and Scott's like, can those things still even fire? Yeah. He's like, there's one way to find out. So Scott's walking up. He's like, fuck it. I don't care. He's walking up, about to just pop Polo. There's another guy in the car that shoots at him. It's one of the Interpol cops. So now the cops in the town are all shooting at everyone. The Interpol guys get away. They blow up their car and leave. I really liked Chris in this, actually.
Yeah.
He did a decent job. As they're walking away, the car blows up, and he's like, ah!
Yep.
Like, he gets scared by it, you know, because he's trying to be a tough guy, but he's obviously new to the job.
Mm-hmm. He plays his part well.
He does. He really does. And that's when we find out that it's the poison arrow that killed his brother. Next up is Van Damme practicing violin. We see that his neighbor's beating the girl. He comes out and he says, that's enough! But the guy won't stop. He's like, all right, you are disturbing me. Doesn't really stop, and he just kind of tells him, knock it off. And he tells the girl, you okay? No. And he just walks away. And she's locked out, and she's doing that crying, but like kind of like looking over. Like he's like, he comes back out, and he's like, I am trying to practice, with his violin in his hand. And he just brings her into his place. Van Damme gets a call from his buddy from the antique shop on the phone saying that there's a third party involved and there may be some personal issues. So Van Damme tells the girl, you need to leave now. She begs to stay, and he has a touch of, for whatever reason, this hard-ass assassin all of a sudden is like, okay, and lets her stay. He's like, you can stay in the morning, but don't touch anything.
Yeah, the movie kind of took a turn for like Leon the Professional or something at this, because it turns like she starts to help him to feel emotions again.
Right, yeah, exactly.
He even kind of wears a similar outfit. He has like
he kind of does,
pea coat and a page boy hat and like the sunglasses.
Holy shit, I didn't even think about that. Maybe this is kind of like an homage to Leon the Professional.
Could have been.
Quite possibly. So next up, Scott jumps the compound gate and beats the shit out of 2 guys, then another. And that was a pretty hilarious scene right there.
Yeah.
And he goes into this old beat-up factory. Van Damme pops up out of nowhere, and they start fighting. He's like, it's personal to me. And Van Damme's like, if you lose my feet, it's personal to me. And there was one shot that was totally bad stunt guy work, which I didn't understand why a stunt guy needed to be there playing Van Damme. It was a spot like right when they get to a random table out in the middle of it. And you can totally tell from the guy's hair that it's not Van Damme. And I was like, what? But for the rest of it, it looked good.
Yeah.
They were doing the gun tangle with each other. Scott trying to convince Van Damme to let him kill Polo. And like they finally figure out what to do. Van Damme's like, okay, how are you going to do that? He knows Polo's weapon guy, and so he shows up to Polo's weapon guy, and pretty much threatens him. Shoots a pattern around the dude with this crazy $500,000 gun that has like this green laser remote attached to it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
He's like, he tells Scott the info, and pretty much right when everything was okay, Van Damme shoots the guy from behind after he gives the info. Scott's like, I wanted the guy alive, and Van Damme's like, you had a plan? You didn't tell me. This is all. If you want a partner, you have to learn to communicate better. And, Scott was trying to tell him what his whole plan was, but it's out the window now. Next up we see is that pretty much Polo's right-handed dude, besides his brother, finds security camera footage of Van Damme. They have a photo. They're like, this is the guy that killed your brother. Van Damme is now back at his apartment. The girl has made herself really comfortable in his bed. He tells her to wake up and get out, but as she leaves, she pets his turtle, and the turtle likes her. He's like, how did you do that? She's like, come here, I'll show you. Pet him right here. And, we have a little tender moment. Van Damme pets the turtle, and everything's okay. And that's where you start seeing the emotion come out. And at first, I didn't know if this was his daughter or not. Like, I was like, is this his daughter? Because this is getting a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. I started to get a little...
I realized, no, it was the comatose Scott Adkins' wife, in the movie. So Van Damme attends to her wounds, and she got beat pretty bad by her pimp.
Yeah, with a belt.
And he covers her up in his bed as she falls asleep. Next up, we see Scott's buddy tells him to leave and go to the States. That, they're out pretty much to get him. The head Interpol guy, gets a surprise visit from Scott, though, who just pretty much threatens him and leaves. Kind of tells him, like, hey, get Interpol away from this. Let me have him.
He does the Batman exit again, too.
Yep, he does. He does a Batman exit. You're right. So that makes the leader yell at his Interpol cops about it. And one guy suggests they actually make Polo a partner.
It's very dirty cops.
Yeah, man. The whole thing is very dirty. Everyone's really dirty, and they need to get cleaned. So Polo shows up actually at Van Damme's buddy's antique shop, where Interpol shows up and says they need his help. So it was all a setup there, as you think, oh no, Van Damme's buddy's about to get it, but then Interpol swoops in, and actually things go pleasantly okay.
Mm-hmm.
Polo wants the man that killed his brother. Impossible, unless the price is right. Oh, Van Damme's buddy is cold.
Yep.
Next up, we see Van Damme sharpening a knife, and the girl magically has her top back on after he attended to her wounds and put the covers over her. I think that was a continuity error.
Oh, no. No, it was intended.
Oh, okay. We see him say something along the lines of, people choose their death when they choose how to live. It's a good back and forth about, basically the morals of life.
Mm-hmm.
And which she was like, you're just like me, after they're talking about being in the services. He's like, what, you calling me a whore? And she's like, a service provider. It's like, uh-oh, his neighbor's up to something now.
Yep.
As he looks in on them and whatnot, she comes out. Oh, man, Scott's buddy was taken by Polo's guys as well. He is beaten up, calls himself Santa Claus, won't give up information until he gets a box cutter to the ear. Ooh, ow. That scene was
gnarly.
Intense,
that's
man.
another trope that's in JCVD movies is torture scenes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for real. It takes us back to when his buddies were drilling holes into the one dude.
Requesting the location of a Chinaman.
Yep. Where's the Chinaman?
Where's the fucking Chinaman? Give him the knee. Give him the trouble of the knee.
He's swearing in French at him. Van Damme's buddy is telling him he has a new offer, bring Scott to a certain place at a certain time, and things will go his way. His buddy's basically trying to convince him to give Scott up.
The old triple cross.
Yep. So Van Damme and Scott meet up to talk, and you're wondering, is Van Damme really setting him up, or
is he gonna let him know at the last minute, or does he have something cooked up himself to get everyone when they're all together?
Yep, yeah. So you actually are kind of wondering what's going to happen here. So Van Damme does have that regretful look in his eye in the next scene. They're all looking at each other. He's he ends up talking with the girl, And what she's like, do you dream or ever think about your future? No. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And just trying to get the movie along. She puts her head on him. And then the next shot is we get side boobies.
Hell yeah.
And we're like, what's going on here? And it's Polo looking at a bunch of chicks trying to decide which one he wants to bang until the neighbor comes in.
It was weird because like 3 of them were topless and then the rest
weren't. Yeah. It wasn't in the budget.
Yeah.
So the neighbor comes in and tells Polo that Van Damme and him are neighbors. And it's like, uh-oh.
What a dick.
And next up, we have the girl who kisses Van Damme on the cheek. He hesitates and kisses her back on the cheek. And so that's where I started to think, like, is this supposed to be kind of like Leon, you know, kind of just like this love her as a daughter type of thing?
Yeah.
Or what was going on here?
You don't get much time to figure it out, though.
Nope, not at all. There's some foreshadowing.
Yep.
Next up, we see Scott scoping out the place. He's up in the balcony. Van Damme is sitting down on the bench when Polo walks through. Scott ends up getting attacked by the Interpol guys while Van Damme does nothing. More guys come. They taser Scott. Interpol arrests him. Chris tells the girl to get back in her office, who's like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, that was really odd that they just had some lady come out like,
yeah.
Hey, what's going on out here? Like, I wouldn't be questioning, like, 10 guys tasering and beating the shit out of someone else.
No,
so.
I just be like, okay. Better call the cops.
Yeah, that would be my first instinct.
Scott knows that he was set up. As Van Damme looks at him, he's pretty pissed. Polo comes up to him, said his buddy sang like a soprano. Polo says that he will pay his girl a visit, and the cops tase Scott again. It's like, ugh.
Yep.
So Van Damme takes Diamonds back to his buddy, and his buddy's like, hey, I got another prospect. And Van Damme's like, hey, I'm going to take some time off. And the phone rings, says it's for Van Damme. Polo is in his apartment. They got the girl all trapped. She's, strapped with tape over her mouth and whatnot. Polo is setting something up for her, but I couldn't hear at the time because my kids are going crazy. Polo is pissed. He smashes the phone through the turtle tank.
Yep.
I was like, oh no.
The turtle. Yeah. Van Damme, he told Van Damme he knows that what he's like and that he knows that he could get to him through the one thing that he cares about. Like, people like him have to form a connection with something.
Oh,
and that he needed to come over there and trade, it would trade him for her. And Van Damme was like, you don't know me at all. And then he just hung up, and then he got pissed. And
oh, okay. All right. Oh, wow. Well, that makes it kind of even more hardcore.
Cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded. Yep. So next we see Scott is tied up and about to be electrocuted, and they want to get money from him. I was like, what? When did this happen?
Yeah, I don't remember. I guess they said something about money disappearing earlier in the film.
Yeah, even Scott was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Next, we see Van Damme going to his place. It's all ransacked. Poor turtle is on its back, but Van Damme fixes him, makes it upright.
The second meanest thing they did right there.
I was going to say, if you really wanted to get to him, you would have made turtle soup. The girl is on his bed dead with her throat slit. And she's
dismembered.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, her arms and legs were.
Yeah.
And like her. Yeah, she was just totally dismembered.
It was nasty.
It was gnarly.
Van Damme goes back to the shop. The bouncer tries to play big, but lets Van Damme through. He's like, is he expecting you? And Van just looks at him. His buddy doesn't want payment. Van Damme throws some diamonds down, and he's like, no, I want some info from you. He's like, I just want to repair our partnership. And he gives the info for Scott. So Scott's getting beat up, having flashbacks of his wife. The Interpol cops want to finish it. They electrocute him to the one dude who's on at the board. And the guy's just looking at him, and then all of a sudden he slumps over and there's knives all in his bag. And it's Van Damme to the rescue! He kills the one cop that's not his son, and then a bunch of the other guys. Chris is hiding behind Scott, using him as a shield. It was absolutely hilarious.
That was great.
Scott ends up breaking free and chokes Chris to death, which was also funny.
Yep.
And at that time, I just wanted to think how Van Damme felt watching that.
You're choking him too hard.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. He's off on him. It's not a controlled choke. We see Polo's getting some immunity papers from Interpol, and Scott
papers to do whatever you want.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
It made no sense.
Yep. Scott warns them to get out of the house, and the line gets cut to the lady taking care of his wife, and they're like, uh-oh. We see that she ends up getting shot. Poor girl. She was like run away, gets shot.
To be fair, she was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Hello?
What?
A classic horror movie.
Yep. Polo has Scott check the webcam, and he's like, surrender or my men will take turns once again. And then Polo will. He's like, I'll let my men go first this time. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's a classic Eastern European webcam show right there.
Yeah. They surrender, both Van Damme and Scott, and they're brought into the house. Scott thinks Van Damme is setting him up again, that it's all part of the plan. That, like, Van Damme's like, I have money, I have diamonds, you've been to my house, they're in the safe. And so Scott's like thinking, oh no. And nope, it was actually their plan all along, because they start to tussle. He throws Scott over the table. Scott grabs what they thought was his phone, but it was actually the remote to that crazy-ass gun. And the gun just mows down everyone throughout the house. Van Damme blows up the old bald dude that was Polo's like right-hand man.
I figured he was the toughest one of all. But...
Oh, I know, man. Nope. Polo is about to cut Scott's throat, but Van Damme hits him with the butt of the gun. Van Damme says Polo is Scott's, who then tells Polo to beg and to please. He's like, beg. He's like, no. And he's like, beg. He's like, please forgive me. And he makes him do it over and over until it just gets awkward.
Yep.
He's like, just one problem. She can't hear you. Boom, stabs him in the back. Throws the knife away, apologizes to his wife. It's over. Not yet, Van Damme says. We see that the neighbor is getting a massage in some cool place. The Interpol dude is with his wife. And next up, the girls lead the massage. Neighbor gets his head cut off
with a katana,
from Van Damme.
He just shows up holding a katana.
Yeah,
was so out of nowhere.
Yeah, Van Damme with those crazy ass weapons that he likes just decapitates the dude.
Yeah, blood flies everywhere. It was cool.
Oh, that was awesome. Scott snipes the Interpol dude. And his wife's going crazy. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Next up, we see Van Damme is in a church. He lights a candle. He has the flashbacks of the girl with the turtle. And we fade to black as Van Damme leaves the church. So that was Assassination Games.
Yes, that it was.
That was long, man.
Yeah, it was too long. Probably a half an hour too long.
Yeah.
That's another trope in later Van Damme films.
I know, man. These are getting a little too long for my liking. It's just, it wasn't a terrible film, though.
No, it was pretty by the numbers.
Yeah, it was, exactly.
I mean, the acting in it wasn't bad. Like, the guy who played Polo, he wasn't bad. He was
Polo
actually
was
really good.
Yeah, Polo did a good job.
Scott, like, he's no JCVD. I don't like him getting equal billing in films.
Yeah, Scott, they're really trying to build Scott Adkins up as, like, the next Van Damme.
It's not working for me. He doesn't... He's not a bad actor, but...
Oh, no, by no means. Like, some of the stuff that he's in, I didn't realize he was English until, like, when he actually speaks. But, like, some stuff, I hear him with different accents and whatnot. And
he had, like, a southern accent in, I can't remember which film. I can't remember the name of it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, overall, it was all right. I mean, it was too long. Like, I was having trouble paying attention at times, but it wasn't unwatchable.
No, see, when these types come up, I love to watch them in, like, 2 times the speed so that I can get through it a lot faster, but you're not missing anything.
I tend to Facebook during parts where I don't hear yelling or gunshots or kicks.
Yeah, that's kind of true with some of it.
Which isn't a good endorsement for a film.
No. So on a scale of 1 to 10 splits, what would you give it?
Probably a 6.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same.
Like just above bad, just above it.
Yeah. I maybe a 6.5. I'd probably go 6.
I was kind of wavering towards 6.5, especially with the katana decapitation.
Yeah, that end was pretty cool. The violence was pretty crazy.
It had great violence. No car chases, which was
no car chases. That was a bit surprising.
Yeah,
I just I don't know. I kind of expected a little bit more with the violence. I'm not a big fan of the tone that they use throughout the film. Like seriously, Instagram.
I don't like the sepia tone either.
And I don't know. I get what they were trying to go for there, but it just to me it didn't hit. It
agree.
it got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb.
That is the first time an IMDb score was higher than ours.
Than what we rated
it. That's a wow, momentous occasion right there.
Yeah, man. Seriously. Getting into the trivia of things, there's not a ton. Surprise, surprise. Scott Adkins replaced Vinnie Jones. That's interesting. I don't know who Vinnie Jones is, but do you know who Vinnie Jones is?
No, the name's familiar.
Let's take a quick peek.
Power Gander.
Oh, my phone was like, no, you want Connie Jones.
Is that a porn star? Sounds like a news anchor.
Oh, you know who Vinnie Jones is.
Who? Whomst?
Vinnie Jones is the guy who was in Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking
Oh,
Barrels.
he would have been way
Juggernaut,
better.
the Juggernaut.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yep, yeah. Oh, man, sorry, Scott. I would really like Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones has been in some stinkers, too.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, but I still watch him.
Yeah. He's great. Bullet Tooth Tony.
Yeah. During the scene where Flint visits Polo's hardware guy, he uses a laser-guided gun to target him. The sound effect used for the mechanical movement is taken from RoboCop. I knew it.
Yeah. Yep, I knew it.
That is awesome.
That's fantastic.
Oh, beautiful. Originally, Steven Seagal was supposed to play the Roland Flint role.
Wow.
Wow.
That would have been quite the different movie.
Yep. Scott Adkins, Ivan Kay, Michael Higgs, and Andrew French have all starred in the English BBC soap EastEnders at some point in their careers.
Huh. I know he was in EastEnders.
I don't even know what EastEnders is.
I just know it from, I just know it's a BBC show that gets referenced in some stuff that I watch.
It's probably
on.
referenced, in a lot of things. Russell McCullough was originally set to direct. And that's it. As for quotes, there's a decent, not a ton, but enough to fill up my phone's page, but not enough to scroll. Vincent, people choose their deaths when they choose how to live.
That's a good quote.
Vincent, this is my contract. It's personal. If you lose me my fee, that's personal to me. Which I already quoted those two.
Yep.
Polo, the thing about fairy tale endings is that they're bullshit. October, I just want out. Out of the city. Out of the life. With someone I can trust. Trust to do what? Light a candle for me when I'm gone. Oh.
Yep.
I didn't catch that.
Me either.
Which
But
I just realized
who October was.
I just realized who October was, which makes that even funnier that I use that voice. October was the girl. Yeah.
It's an odd name. I don't know if that's a normal name.
Yeah.
And where is this movie supposed to take place? Like Romania or somewhere?
Yeah. Huh. So, there you have it. What's up next is supposed to be Universal Soldier Day Reckoning 2012, but nope, that's not the case. Up next is The Expendables 2 2012, where Van Damme plays Jean Villain, and I am oh so excited.
Oh, man.
Love it. Van Damme's back on the big screen, baby.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that wraps it up for this episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We know it is getting to be the holidays, which means you are probably doing a lot of shopping on Amazon. You know our spiel, but please consider using our link at podbros.com. Scroll down, hit that Amazon button. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out tremendously. We appreciate those that are already doing it. Seriously, thank you so much. We don't get too much income from the network, but what we do is from you that shop on Amazon, some ads, and some Patreon. So if you want to actually donate, if you love what we do, patreon.com/podbros, that would be awesome as well. That helps us out, and we thank those that already do it. That's it. Enough of my shilling. I would say maybe one day we would have social media for the Van Damme podcast, but that's probably not going to happen. I'm not going to lie.
You never know.
Yep, that's true. Who knows? We might do it when it's all said and done. When we're all
there
done
you
with
go.
it.
Perfect.
All right, that's all. I am John.
And I am Jeff.
And you have been listening to another episode of the Jean Pod Van Damme cast. I'm going to go show Jeff how to pet this turtle.
Oh, no. I didn't choose this life.
You whore? No, service provider.
Tell me where the money is.
I'll make it quick.
Just let me go right now. You'll never see me again.
And if we don't?
and I'll fucking kill you.
Whoa, easy. Let's get our money back first. Okay, last chance. Now, Gabor here, he's an expert. He can make this last quite a while. Where's the money?
I don't know what you're talking about.